Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Witches Movie Coven. You might notice that there is a little bit of a strange sort of arrangement tonight. We are missing some people. We have some new people. But first of all, grab your goat, grab your drink, grab your wand, sit back and grab some popcorn, maybe watch a movie or listen to us talk about a movie. Patti is flying away. She is the hardest working witch in the afterlife. She is, of course, flying away to other lands, but she will be back next week. Also, Mr. Jason Mankey, you may notice he is missing. We are missing his golden locks. But instead, in place of those two, we actually have, I'm going to say, start with our guests. We have Tabitha Meadows. Hello, Tabitha. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, witches. I am Tabitha Meadows, and since anyone can be a member of a cabinet now, I am hereby appointing myself as Secretary of Witch Situations.
Very good, Tabitha. Very good. And then right over here next to Tabitha, we have Mr. Thumper Forge. Thumper, say hello.
Hello, I am Thumper. I am backup Minky. That is my kind of position.
And then right up at top, we'll go right over here to Ms. Heather Greene.
Hi, I'm Heather Greene. I'm the author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. It's the critical history of witches and witchcraft in American film and television. I'm a journalist. I cover the occult and witchy things in the media, as well as being an editor at Llewellyn. And I'm happy here to be dancing through life with my favorite coven members.
And certainly not least, we have Miss Courtney Buckley.
That's me. I'm Courtney Buckley, ghost bait on Scared and Alone. And if we're appointing ourselves as cabinet members, I will be the resident movie hater, except I am responsible for tonight's choice. So who knows? Who knows which way the tide's going to turn? I don't know.
And I am Richard-Lael. Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I would be a... That is right. I am known as the Gentleman Psychic. And tonight we have an interesting movie pick. I hope that all of you at home watch the right one. I hope that you didn't watch Ghost, because that's next week. I hope that you didn't watch the number one, the first Exorcist, or the 35 billion other versions of the Exorcist that exist. But no, we are going to be reviewing The Exorcist Believer. This is the point of the show, of course, where the lovely Patti Negri would toss it over to me so that we could discuss, of course, an unbiased synopsis of the week's film. And by the week's film, I mean WEAK, week's film.
All right, ding dong, your opinion's wrong.
Oh, whoa, we're getting started early. We're getting started real early tonight.
So if for those of you who may not have ever seen The Exorcist Believer, consider yourselves lucky. And I will tell you now what the film actually is about. So if you like voodoo stereotypes and racial stereotypes and a plot line that is so easily deduced, you will love this movie. It is a story about a young family that go to Haiti. And then all kinds of voodoo ensues. Then I think it was an earthquake, or I don't know. I wasn't really watching. Something happens where the building kind of collapses, and she's at the young expectant mother is in the stairwell where I wished that I were for the rest of the movie.
Oh!
Nonetheless, this young mother does not live, and when the doctors are trying to save one of these beings, either the premature baby or the wife, he is, of course, wanting to save the wife. Now, that doesn't come into play until the end, but that I jumped ahead. So now we're going to jump ahead like 15 years or whatever. It felt like it, but jumping ahead 15 years, the girl is now a young woman. And she misses the idea of her mother. She never knew her mother, not in life. And so she will sneak in to her father's bedroom and go through the box of her late mother's belongings. And then, of course, this angers the father. No, that was your mother's, he would say. That's a special thing. You don't go into that box. Well, this young woman has a friend in school who is the quintessential daughter of a Karen. And they are, it's a young Christian family. And this young girl and the lead girl, they go into the woods to try to summon the spirit of the late mother. And instead, summon a spirit of a demon, because that's really the way it happens in the woods. All kinds of craziness ensues. There's a choice that has to be made. A woman gets her eyes gouged out with a crucifix. One child lives, one child dies. And then predictably, the one child dies, and everyone is okay with it. Oh yeah, she's fine to die. It's fine. Nobody cares. It's fine. And the other one lives, and the father says, "Oh, but I love you, and we can make it happen." And roll credits. That's kind of it. That's what I have. So if that brought any clarity to you, great. If it did not give you clarity, you can either go watch the film or not. Really, honestly, that's my unbiased opinion. But you know who might give us a little bit more insight on tonight's film is the illustrious Heather Greene. Heather Greene, what do you have for us on tonight's show?
I've got 5 things you need to know. 5 things I'm going to cover. I'm going to first cover a little bit about the movie itself, just a tad, because that's really all there is. Then I'm going to look at the franchise, The Exorcist. Then we'll talk about the cast, and there's some really fun stuff in there. And then we'll talk about magic and religion and what's happening and not happening. And then is there going to be a number 7? So first, let's talk about the movie. It was released in 2023. It was an attempt at a reboot of the Exorcist franchise after being gone for some time. It was directed by the guy who rebooted Halloween. And his name escapes me, David Gordon Greene, I believe. And it actually did financially pretty well. I think it was about 30 million, and it got about 137 million in world and US, which actually is not bad. But it was panned at the box office. Nobody liked it. And it was also there was another note I had about the movie that was interesting, but I think I'll skip it because if I forgot it, it probably wasn't important. So the second one is, let's look at the franchise. So as I think Richard-Lael said, there are about a bazillion of them. I think that number's a little bit exaggerated, just a little. There's actually 6 currently. The first one was in 1973. That was original Exorcist. It was based on a movie. It was based on a novel. Released in 1971, just shortly before. And it was written by William Peter Blatty. And then that actual novel was on the New York Times bestseller list for 57 weeks, which is why it was picked up to make the original movie. The movie was successful. So, of course, when a movie is successful, what does Hollywood do? They make another one. In 1977, Exorcist 2 came out. It was panned. Horrible. They stopped. Then they tried again in 1990. Why do you think they tried again in 1990? What was going on in 1990? Satanic Panic. Let's make devil films. So, of course, it comes back. They try Exorcist 3. Exorcist 3 was actually directed by the author of the original book. And people do not think it's actually that bad. They said it wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as the 1977 one. But it wasn't good enough to do it again. So it doesn't come back until 2004. Why 2004? Because this is when paranormal started to become popular again, coming out of the witch movie craze. So let's try a paranormal-esque devil film. It was called Exorcist in the beginning. It was terrible. It got panned. But yet they tried again. Dominion in 2005. Dominion, it's called something, I think it's supposed to be a prequel to The Exorcist, the original Exorcist, or something like that. Also, it was bad. It was called an outstanding failure. It had some like tweaks, some different things in it that people kind of liked with some kind of artistic moments, but it was considered a big failure. So what do? Why not bring it back in 2023? Why? Because again, we're back into a craze. We're at the end of a witch craze again, a witch movie craze, most likely the end, and also getting into, we have satanic panic stuff rolling in our culture. So let's bring this movie back again. And it's called Exorcist Believer. So that's the franchise and what that looked like. So I'm going to move now to the cast of the current movie, which has some really fun little notes, which I got kind of excited about. So first, the main character, Leslie Odom Jr. I don't know if Courtney recognizes that name or if anybody else recognizes that name, but he was Aaron Burr, sir, and got a Tony Award for his performance as Aaron Burr in Hamilton. That is his claim to fame. He also won a Grammy for that role. So he's been in other movies, Glass Onion, Harriet, but his big claim to fame, and I believe is spectacular, is his performance in the original Hamilton on Broadway. We also have another Broadway star in this, Norbert Lee. He was Norbert Lee Butts is the dad, the father of the one girl. The other dad, I should say. He actually has 2 Tony Award-winning awards for Best Performance in a Musical, but most notably, he was the original Fiyero in Wicked. And if you are listening to the original soundtrack, that's him singing along as Fiyero. So I got super excited. I had to listen to it again. Then we have Lydia Jewett, the young girl. She was in a bunch of stuff. Black Panther, Hidden Figures. That's what she's known for. You also have Anne David, who every time I see her, I can't not think of Handmaid's Tale because that's what she was in. And it's hard to not remember her character of Aunt Lydia in that. But she's been in a ton of stuff. Green Card, Lorenzo's Oil, Hereditary, Philadelphia. She's been around forever. You also will notice the other little girl, the girl that died, that was her first, this is her first movie. The other interesting character, there's a few others. Ellen Burstyn, of course, it was in the original one. She's back for a cameo, as is Linda Blair, who shows up for a very short cameo right at the end. Linda Blair, of course, was the original possessed girl from the original movie. You have a few other notable characters. The one priestess, she is a choreographer. And let's see, who else do I have on here? And the mother, Olivia Nettles, I believe, she's a country singer. And so I don't know if people will know. So we've got an interesting cast of different backgrounds, which I thought was kind of neat. So now I'm going to skip to number 4. Magic and religion. What I thought was interesting here, and these are just a couple notes, you have a lot of representation of religion and magic in this in different ways, not always so great. Of course, there's a negative slam against paganism early on. Trying to find the quote. Pagan activity or talking to the dead, that quote was mentioned in a negative light. Of course, you have Haiti mentioned in the beginning, connected to, and I really, if you don't know Hollywood's history with representing Haiti and Haitian religion, it might not bother you as much as it does me. But if you read my book, you'll know why it bothers me so much. It is a history in this country as well as a history in Hollywood to treat Haiti, to other Haiti, in such a negative way that it significantly affects our country ideas about what Haiti is and what Haitian religion and spirituality is. So it really bothered me they used Haiti for that. It wasn't really necessary. They also have a representative root work and hoodoo. They have representative Catholicism and Protestantism and a number of different Catholicism. So it's interesting that they kind of melded all this attempt to sort of create this like UN of religions, sort of, to try to force the idea of let's get along, everybody, and we can conquer the demon. So we can discuss if that works or not at a later time. But that's sort of what you have going on here with religion. It's sort of a weak attempt to bring everybody together and hold hands, kumbaya, religion. And yet at the same time, they knocked paganism and witchcraft and kind of didn't include that. And then the last one, number 7. Are they going to make a number 7? So when this movie came out, it was panned so bad, it did so poorly. It was going to, Let's start again. It was originally supposed to be part of a trilogy. That was the plan. A new trilogy, starting with this believer. But it was so bad that they canned the idea. And they also, the next one was supposed to be released in 26 called Exorcist Deceiver. And it was supposed to be a prequel to Believer. And they decided actually now what they're saying is they're actually going to bring it back. They're going to do it in 2026. It's going to be released Friday the 13th in October.
And it's going to be called White House.
Well, that might be the case because I'm not sure if they've renamed it yet. But it's going to be, and I'm looking for the date. I wrote the date down. I'm looking for that date exactly. Friday, March 13th, excuse me, Friday, March 13th, 2026. And it's going to have a radical new approach. And they got rid of the director who did this one. And they brought on Mike Flanagan, which actually might be exactly that that gives me hope that we might actually have another good Exorcist. He did Midnight Mass, which was brilliant. So, and a number of other things, Fall of House, Usher, Hush, a lot of things. So that is my top 5 interesting things for you guys to chew on while we discuss the movie. And Courtney tells us how much she loved it.
I'm ready.
And Courtney, since you're there, you go.
Okay.
Go.
So let me counteract everything that was just said. No, I'm just kidding. The reason I chose this, I went and saw this in the movie theater, and I love possession movies. I love paranormal movies. You all know me. That's what I love. And the original Exorcist to me was the worst possession film I've ever seen because it is not scary and I did not like it, and I laughed my way through it. But I watched this and this one scares me. But to me, all possession movies are the same, and it's the degree to which the possession is portrayed to me that interests me in the movies, because they're all the same. So when I went and saw this one, my first thought, I think the first thing out of my mouth when it was done, was that I thought it was so interesting. So it worked on me, Heather, but I thought it was so interesting that it was not, oh, it's a possession, call the Catholic priest. And instead it was, oh, it's a possession, call everyone. And so that to me was such a different take on, and I haven't seen every one of the franchise. I haven't seen every possession movie ever, but like in all the ones that I've seen and enjoyed, that's never happened. It's always called the priest. So I thought that was fun. I am not well versed enough in other forms of magical practices to know whether or not, or to speak on whether or not it was portrayed accurately. So I refer that to minds that are greater than mine. But I thought it was interesting that, especially from like a parent's perspective, you'll do anything to save your kid. So it doesn't matter what I believe, bring in everyone, because something's got to work. And, in my younger days, and again, by no means an expert, but I took a demonology class. And one of the things that I learned in taking that demonology class, we broke down all different religions, and we broke down all different religions to find out, like, where did possession or demonology lie within each religion. And to me, from everything I saw, it all boils down to the same thing. So, everybody calls it something different. Everybody has something different going on with it. But like that piece of it, and I have this listed in my quotes, but when Chris, I think is her name, the original lady, she's talking about how she studied exorcism and, everything, it's about the people, religions, it's all, everyone has their own things, whatever, but it all boils down to the people. That to me felt like it gave it a little bit of oomph, something different. And it was scary towards the end. I liked the whole ritual at the end. I thought it was really interesting to look at. And, it was similar but different with all the other rituals that they had going on and how they all came together and sort of just kind of accepted what each other was doing. So that's it. You all can be the haters. I love this movie.
I will stop for a minute because I think you need to read Collins. I'll read it. It says, what this franchise needs is the next movie to be about the demon possessing a Christmas tree.
Yes, take all my money.
Okay, so now that we have Courtney's wonderful opinion of the film, who would
The
like to
correct
go
one, right?
next and talk a little bit about what you saw?
I have some thoughts, and they are mostly uncharitable. But the movie opened with a shot of two dogs fighting on the beach in Haiti.
Mhm.
So we were immediately kind of informed as the audience that this is this savage, dangerous place.
Because they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the
Exactly.
pets, and the people who live there.
Exactly. Heather mentioned that it seemed sort of like there was no reason for them to be in Haiti. I felt like the reason for them to be in Haiti was so that voodoo could be blamed for the wife's death. Because, when she was in the market, she was brought into the ceremony, and a mambo put a blessing on the baby, and the baby survived. The mom didn't. And that was voodoo's fault. So we've already kind of connected the daughter to something spiritual but not Christian. I do, there was sort of that sense as the movie progressed of, everyone coming together to fight the demon. It wasn't going to be just the Catholics. My issue with that was that for the Exorcist franchise, it was fairly anti-Catholic. The church decided that the girls were suffering from mental illness. They weren't possessed. The Catholic priest bailed on the exorcism. And when he came back, when he finally agreed to come in, the first thing he did was break the rules. The rule was do not touch the girls. He comes running in, places his hands on their heads, and is immediately offed. So Catholicism was ineffective. There were people from other religions, but it was Baptist and Pentecostals. It was all Protestants. So the message that I got out of that was Protestants need to come together to fight the big evil, and Catholics are going to be ineffective in that battle. That said, the ritual at the end I thought was visually stunning. I liked how it was filmed. The scene where there was sort of the trick where it turned out that the demon, by getting them to choose, they were choosing who didn't live, and the daughter her spirit getting dragged into hell. That was traumatizing. I have not been traumatized by an Exorcist movie since the third one, which I saw at a slumber party when I was a kid. And that one messed me up, and that scene had the same effect on me. Overall, I thought there were some things that were very ham-fisted. A personal pet peeve in terms of tropes is giving characters names to sort of say what their role is. So the dad is Victor. He is going to be the victor. Even though he doesn't believe at the beginning, he is the victor. The daughter is Angela. She is the angelic one. And so and we kind of see that where even when they go off in the woods to summon the demon, it's Catherine's idea. It's the other girl's idea. She's the bad girl. She kind of deserves to go to hell. Angela's going to be okay because she is the angelic one. So there were moments that I really liked, but overall, there were tropes that I really was not happy to see.
I agree. I think it was incredibly predictable, and not just because I'm the gentleman psychic. With that,
I want you to follow me around and summarize things that happened to me, by the way. That would be like too
nobody would get a clue. No one would know what happened. Tabitha, you haven't spoken yet.
So my take on the movie was I actually enjoyed it for the reason of symbolism, and one of the main things that I saw a lot of was there's a lot of reproductive rights that came up in this movie. The surgeon asking the husband, who do you want to keep, your wife or your daughter? I often think that if a wife is cognizant, she is able to speak for herself, that she should be able to make the decision and not the man in the relationship. There were, and to that, and her being pregnant, there were a lot of use of vessels in this movie, lots of bowls, lots of things that they use to put liquids and such in. And another thing that they kind of followed through with was there was this little obsession with feet. At the beginning, we see the priestess. She sprayed this substance onto the mother's feet, which I don't. Someone can correct me out there if I'm wrong. I don't think that is a normal practice for that. But when you think about feet, you think about grounding, and you think about, something from the lower realms being able to come up through and into the feet. And I swear that I heard one of the ladies scream out Legba.
Mhm.
And what I saw of that ritual that they were performing, I didn't see an offering given, excuse me. Voodoo, with their main, the primary goal with them is to serve spirit. I'm all about that, and that's a beautiful thing. But in that, when you go to take something or do workings with the spirit, usually you want to bring an offering. And I kept going back over that first viewing, and nowhere in there did I see an offering for anyone. And so when the lady screams out Legba, Legba being usually a gatekeeper for, it could go one way or it could go another, his choice, however he might be feeling. But it could be that they might get upset, and it would depend on him. Generally, he likes coffee or tobacco, and I was desperately looking for something that might have been in there, but I didn't see any of that. So then a little bit later, after that happened, there was a point in there when the girl had been entered and taken over, and she her father had come into the bedroom, and he thought she had
soiled herself.
Yeah, in her bed. So he's like, okay, let me take care of you. Let's get you in here to the bathroom. And one of the things he mentioned, he brings up again, is feet. He says, how are your feet? And I thought that was kind of interesting. And then next thing you know, we're looking at a bath water, which is now the kind of soiled color that what looked like to me is what the lady had spit out onto the feet of the mother. So I just some things that I noticed that I thought was interesting, and how they kind of tie things and keep weaving things in there, where they and just like Courtney said, I am no expert. Matter of fact, the more I know, the less I know in this world. I am no expert by any means in voodoo, but it is far from what they portrayed in this movie. So
I couldn't agree more. Heather Greene, you have not really given us much of a story.
Oh, I haven't. Whether I liked it or not?
Yeah, what is your take on it? What do you think?
So you know what? I think this goes into the category of I didn't mind it. Actually, I enjoyed watching it. Just on a surface level, it did. I liked the production value. I liked the basis of the story, the possession aspect of it. It isn't my favorite possession story, isn't my favorite paranormal story at all, or a movie, but it wasn't like I was running away from it horrified that I can't believe I'm watching it. However, I think what they were trying to do, my take on this whole discussion of religion and the representation of religion, I do agree that Haiti wasn't necessary. They didn't have to use Haiti. She could have gone to a voodoo ritual in the United States or somewhere else, anywhere but Haiti, only because of how
Who's here?
we conjured somebody.
You did. You conjured me up. You conjured. Greetings from Sydney, Australia, everybody. I miss you madly.
It is so lovely to see your beautiful face.
Thanks. I just had to pop in for a second. I'm on a little tiny break. It's beautiful here. And I won't interrupt. I just want to hang out and look at your
we
pretty
love to hear from
faces.
you. How we hear that you had to stay at the airport in Los Angeles for some time.
For days. I think it was a 14-day trip, I think, getting here. But it was lovely. I was luckily in the lounge, so it was great. And that's it. It's beautiful here. Perfect weather, because it's kind of like LA in a lot of ways, Sydney. It's just kind of perfect all the time. And that's it so far. But I didn't watch the movie, so you guys keep talking about the
No,
movie. I'm just going to stare at your pretty faces.
I'm going to give you a little fill-in, Patti. So
Okay.
Heather doesn't mind it. Courtney liked it. I didn't like it. I don't know if Tabitha and Thumper enjoyed it or not. They didn't really say. There was one way or another. You can choose one to vote with. Just on the notion, you vote for Witches Movie Coven. You can vote for that. Well, wands or whatever. And Patti, of course, we vote for you. But
Okay.
next week, Patti, you'll be back next week, right?
I will be back next week. I will be back. It's Thanksgiving week, or whatever you want to call it, Indigenous People Day, this day, that day.
And we'll be doing Ghost next week.
My movie. Yes. I can't wait.
We had to wait for you.
I know. Thank you for that. I appreciate that very much, Heather. I appreciate it. And it's so good to see you guys, Tabitha and Thumper.
All right,
Thumper,
thank you, Patty.
You guys check out, I don't know if you're talking about he's on this week's episode of The Witching Hour. He's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was a blast. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, you were fabulous. So, all right, I'm going to be quiet and listen to you guys. I have a few
Okay.
minutes.
Love you, Patti.
Love you.
Love you, Patty.
Well, I was gonna go. I'll jump back in if we're talking now. I
Yes,
don't know.
jump.
Can you see me still?
No, but we can hear you.
Oh,
There you
there
go.
you are.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I froze. So I'm going to jump back in and just say I think the discussion of the religion in this movie is very interesting, as it always is. And there was recently an article, and I can't remember in what outlet, about why religion makes such a good subject for horror. And I think one of the things that we've seen in horror, in most horror films, especially possession films, is they are dominated by Catholicism, and even when they try to work in other religions, which they try to do here, it still is very dominated by the Catholic constructs that we all know, which is part of the problem I had, which I also agree with you, Thumper. I thought it was really interesting that the Catholic Church failed. They're the ones that usually don't. They failed. And so I thought that was interesting, but I felt like their attempt, again, Haiti wasn't necessary, but the attempt of adding in voodoo, adding in root work, which I don't think she was different from what was going on. I don't know. We don't know exactly their specifics of the different religions that she practices. I was trying to narrow in on that. The nun, the Protestants, and then the atheists, because Dad's an atheist. Remember, we had him too. So we have this kind of we all have to come together motif, and it's admirable, especially that's something you see more in witch films and paranormal films and occult films in the 2000s. So it's a little late for that. But the question is, did it work within a story that's traditionally very Catholic and still has sort of a Catholic undertone structure to it in a slight way? I think that they were aiming for something good. They were aiming for positive representation. The fact that they even got what they did is actually a step forward, especially for the African Caribbean religions. You typically don't even see them, so having them there at all in a positive light, in an attempt at a positive light, is a step forward. Was it right? I will leave that to practitioners. How right it was, how wrong it was, I'm not going to say. But the fact that they tried to do it in a positive light, to have the priestess there, to have she was called a doctor, I can't remember her last name, to have the doctor there, and I took that voodoo ceremony at the beginning not as a spiritual blessing and not as a negative thing at all. She was getting a spiritual blessing for the baby. And in my understanding is that is what saved the girl and kept the girl throughout her life and actually made it possible for her to survive the demon and be the one that was kept. It was they did flashbacks to it right as that was happening. So that was my take. The negative part of Haiti was the fact that they just used Haiti, and it was just, can we please just have a representation of Haiti where it's actually just not connected to some kind of spirituality that's stilted in the way it's presented. It's a Hollywood legacy thing that bothers me. That's a whole nother lecture I can give for 2 hours, but I think it's really interesting they tried. I don't know that it worked. I don't know it was strong enough. I don't know if I don't know if they leaned into it enough. I don't know what about it really bothered me. It just felt weak.
I felt like the representation of the root worker I thought was good.
What was that?
I thought the representation of the root worker was very positive. And the ways that she was sort of introduced was the nosy neighbor had kind of brought her in. And just reading a little bit about the film, he was actually Pentecostal and, had this whole story about his sister, and she tried alternative things, and that's how he knew the root worker. She was an oncologist. She just sort of had this as an addition to her practice. When they really introduced her, it was when she was collecting graveyard dirt and was taking the time to explain that she was leaving offerings because if she's going to take something, the spirits need something first. And she was really shown as an equal to the other people involved in the exorcism, which is not always what happens to the magical practicing person of color in a horror movie. And but she was, on the same footing as everybody else. And one of the scenes I loved, and this is just me being a catty gay person, was they had the 2 candles lit for the 2 girls, and the 2 girls flatlined, and then Angela came back, and then Katie didn't, and everybody was confused. And the root worker just kind of reached over and pinched out 1 candle. And I was like, oh, that was shady. I liked that.
She already knew. But what I thought was kind of interesting, too, is that Katie, the other girl, all along which one is going to die. You just know all along. And then, of course, she gets the inverted cross on her forehead. And, ooh, spooky inverted cross, which is actually the cross of St. Peter. So... I'm like, come on. I'm not Catholic, I know this. Come on. I did like the candle. I thought that was kind of interesting. The root worker was my favorite character of all of them. Everyone else, I would have been fine if they died.
I liked that Chris MacNeil survived, though, because so often in horror franchises, they will bring back an iconic character and then immediately off them. And bad things happened to her, but she survived and she got to reunite with Reagan. That was kind of nice.
I also want to hop in with the Christianity failing. I took it a little bit differently because I think the priest is following all the rules of the Catholic Church, which are ridiculous, and they're telling him, he goes to them and he says the same thing about community. I need help from all of you. Because I really passionately believe this, and these girls are in trouble, and I need help from everyone all together. And they're like, nope, sorry, red tape this, we don't sanction this, blah blah blah. So then now he feels like he doesn't know what to do, and he can't come, but he wants to come give the warning. But then he tells the former nun, what to do, and then he sits in his car like a coward. But she has this coming to power moment. Everything happens for a reason. Girl power. Here I go. The women aren't supposed to do that, let alone non-sanctioned people. But she's like, I can do it. We all can do it together. It was that coming to power moment. Good for her. She believes in her faith and she believes in herself. And then they're all doing their thing. And then the priest comes in like he's there to save the day. And he's like, here I am, man of God, and I'm going to do all the things. Then he does the wrong thing and he touches the girls and he dies. Good for him, because he should, because he was not there to save the day. But it doesn't mean that Christianity, to me at least watching it, didn't mean Christianity lost. It meant like he was like selfish and he was not there. Like the nun fully believed in her faith and I think represented the good side of faith beautifully, and she was there to help and to be there and to rally everyone together. And then she went in there like a bad you know what, and I was like, rock on, sister, and get it and do it. And she did, and I thought she was great. So to me saw Christianity as it should be represented in her, and them all fighting together. The priest was like, ugh,
it
gross.
isn't. I just want to jump in real quick. It isn't. It's not that Christianity was failed. It's the Catholic Church, the entity, because they're the ones who said that's the distinction. Because you also did have the other minister there who showed up and was trying to help. And
I couldn't stand that.
And you said and Anne and the woman, she took up, even though she had never gone and become a nun, she took up the mantle. So it wasn't Christianity as a whole or a faith or the spirituality. It was just the entity of the Catholic Church, the red tape and bureaucracy and all of that stuff. And they were all men, like you said. So
down with the patriarchy.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the minister bothered me more than anybody else. He was so sort of, and there was nothing. It was just, well, in the body of Christ, and he looked down in the book of John, hallelujah, the body
of the blood, the body of the blood, the body of the blood.
I was like, no wonder this girl is possessed. I would be too. That is the most awful thing to sit through. Just boring. At least if it would have been a real Pentecostal church, you would have had maybe some good music, someone rolling around on the floor or something.
Speaking of, you know what? One little thing that really bothered me was when Chris MacNeil comes back and, she's this expert on exorcisms and they're like, oh, you're an exorcist. And she's like, oh, no. I just have studied it extensively and written a book and I know all this stuff, but I am not an exorcist. And the second she's left alone with the possessed girl, she tried to exorcise her. And so she kind of got what she deserved with the crucifix to the eyeball. Because, like she knew she couldn't do that. She knew she didn't have the training specifically to do that.
And you know what? I totally agree, because I'm not an expert. I took one demonology class and I've watched as many possession movies as I can consume. But even I know that you do not talk to it directly. Like, so every time they start doing that, I'm like, stop talking to it. Like, do not answer its questions. Everybody knows this.
Yeah. Just like don't go into the barn at night where the wood chipper is.
Right.
Exactly.
Fun fact, I got ordained. This is a fun fact about me. I got ordained as a minister on the Universal Life Church, or at the Universal Life Church. Yep. The reason I did it, though, my brother and I both did it. The reason we did it was to give my mother exorcism. So I used to have the rite of exorcism bookmarked on my phone. And when she came home and was in a bad mood, we would get like a little cup of water and we would like whisper in the corner and like bless it. And then we'd spray it at her while I yelled the rites of exorcism and she'd get mad. And then dump the water out. And we'd look at each other and we'd be like very serious. We'd be like, we've angered the demon. And then we'd go back and make more holy water. So that's what I did.
I'm ordained in the spiritual humanism church. I didn't do universal life, but I also ordered a Discordian ordination certificate from a company in Sweden that puts out Discordian stuff, and I put a picture of it on Facebook. I paid $14 for it, and it's just kind of a joke. And my Facebook feed is nothing but congratulations on this accomplishment. This is a milestone. We are so proud of you. And I texted Jason and I was like, everybody thinks it's legit. And he's like, that makes it more Discordian. And I was like,
I got mine. I got my minister's license to the Universal Life Church, mostly so that I could get a minister placard for Mr. Satan.
Oh my God.
My car's name is Mr. Satan.
That's amazing.
So what was that, Patty?
No, I just said I got at Universal Church too, because just so you could do weddings and do them my way.
That was really the full reason.
Yeah.
Courtney, do you have any quotes for us today?
Boy, do I. All right. So we've already discussed some of them. My first one being the body and the blood, the body and the blood. And then my favorite one of the whole movie, which scared the living daylights out of me when I was watching it, when they were like, God played a trick on you. I love that. And then Chris MacNeil saying, I didn't actually witness it, the exorcism. And Victor said, why not? And she said, my opinion, because I'm not a member of the damn patriarchy. I was like, there it is. And then the rest of I there's like some speeches here that really I thought were great. But as the exorcism is starting and the priest is outside in the car and Victor goes to dump out the bowl of whatever when they were the thing came out and they went in the bowl. And he sees the priest, he knocks on the window and he just looks him dead in his eyes and goes, the fight's in there. And I was like, yes, get him. Also, when Chris, before this, Chris was talking about, this is kind of what I talked about earlier. And I really liked this speech that she gave, because for me, it rang so true because of what I have researched and thought, like my thought process behind all this. But she said, I've studied the rite of exorcism in every culture that I could find. They all have different ceremonies, but the one thing that they have in common, the most important thing of all, is people. We go to church in times of trouble because we believe it is the house of God, but also there are people there, other people, whether it's family or neighbors or strangers. Yes, they're all there to affirm their faith in God, but they're also there to affirm their faith in each other. It's not over. Maybe Reagan is gone, but you can bring your daughter back. You've got to bring everyone together. That's what will make this work. And I have goosebumps just reading it out loud. I thought like that theme, I'm sorry, it worked on me. I loved it. I was eating it up the entire time. Couldn't get enough of it. Then Dr. Beehive, when she was introduced, as Thumper was saying, one of my quotes was, now when you take something, you have to give something in return, which I thought was nice that they put in there. And then she also gave a speech explaining what she did. And I'm reading this with the disclaimer that I don't know how well this represents anything, but again, it speaks to this idea of community. And also the last line that she says really struck me. So I'm going to read the whole thing, and if it's not a good representation, I'm sorry. But here it is. She said, enslaved people that were brought here, they relied on traditional beliefs about spirit brought from Africa. They combined that with native tools to protect themselves, and they balanced it with the herbs and the roots that are growing in the earth that they are forced to till, or the shells of the ocean that carried them from their homes. When I had my oncology practice, I didn't put much credence in traditional healing rituals, but I learned that sometimes to go forward, you have to go back. And I loved that last line, especially that sometimes to go forward, you have to go back.
I wrote that one down too.
I loved it. And then lastly is Anne's speech, because she's a you-know-what lady. And I was right there with her. I was ready to put the habit on. I got you, Anne. She says, she like walks up. They're telling everybody the priest is not coming. Everybody's going to leave. Nobody wants it. Like, that was the whole point. The priest is not coming. Everybody's done. And she announces to the crowd, I live in the name of Jesus. Here we are asking God to free these children from infestation. We are asking God to intervene. I'm not denying the grace of a holy priest, but I can give it everything I've got. I am meant to do it. I can do it. I can perform the Roman rite. I see now why the Lord took me out of the convent. I see now why he put me in the house next door, to be here with you tonight. It's going to take all of us. And I have goosebumps again. So that thread of community, that thread of like, it don't just call the priest, call everyone you know, save the kids. Oh my God. It hits me hard. And that's why I loved it. So those are my quotes.
My favorite quote was when Chris was yelling at the demon and she went, in the name of my daughter, Reagan. And I was like, man, we're jumping the shark a little bit.
And the best part is that if they don't pay this exorcism bill, they get repossessed.
Oh, well played.
This is the part where we would actually have Mr. Mankey give us a Mankey movie minute, but he is he is invisible today. He's not in the ether world, but he's not here in this ether world, like Miss Patti, who spoke. But I guess we can go ahead and vote, and then we can check in with each other and see if there's anything we have coming up. So if you are going to vote, how would you vote for this film? I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring my wand. So here is my wand. It's a deviled egg because it needs an exorcism. And my wand is absolutely down.
My glow in the dark Jesus that Richard-Lael gave me is up. Praise be.
Thumper, do you have a wand? I don't see.
I do have a wand. And I came in here ready to trash this movie, but honestly, Courtney swayed me, and I'm voting out.
Oh!
Tabitha, yours is up.
I'm gonna just vote on what I've heard everybody talking about, so it should only count half. But for what I heard Courtney say and you say and all of you say, I'm gonna go hotel TV remote up.
That's so funny. So funny. Tabitha, yours is up, and do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, just overall, I actually liked it. There were some consistencies in there, even though, it may not be following the right paths. As a movie, I thought it was pretty good and better than some of the past movies. So, yeah.
And of course, Miss Heather Greene, yours is slightly above neutral.
No, it's neutral. It's just the wand. I didn't mind it.
Oh my God.
It's just my broom. It's just kind of neutral. I thought it was fine to watch. I didn't want to turn it off. I wasn't horrified by it, but it wasn't one that I'm gonna watch again on purpose. And I do kind of agree with Colin. If they don't get this 26 one, if it doesn't work, they need to stop trying and just start fresh with something else. There's lots of other stories to be told about exorcism and that we can tell without having to keep trying to reboot a franchise that maybe it's just time.
Oh my God.
Repossessed.
That's funny. Leslie Nielsen. What film was that?
That was Repossessed was the name of it.
I'm excited for Mike Flanagan to have his take on it because I'm obsessed with everything that he does. So I cannot wait for that.
If that happens, that the report was written on November 7th, 2024. So if it holds true, we may see a Mike Flanagan version, which is the only thing that would give me hope that it could be rekindled for one episode or for one.
I'm gonna watch it no matter what. Because
we know that. But you need to go back and watch all the other Exorcists to appreciate just how good that Exorcist will. You have to watch 2 and 3 and
watch
5
3. Watch 3 until the old woman in the bed sheet comes running around a corner with the jaws of life, and then you can just stop it. Like
that sounds like exactly the movie that I would like to watch, actually. So
yeah,
adding it right to the list.
Yeah, that was probably what made me love horror after that one scene as a little kid. It completely just altered my brain chemistry.
I want to talk a little bit about, we have a Black Phillip Friday sale, and
yay!
We do, and it is. I'm going to let Courtney tell about it because you.
Okay, so it is. Wait a minute. Let me get all the information up so I can have the right information. It is Black Phillip Friday. So for Black Phillip Friday, and on mysterycontrol.com, you can use code BLACK for 13% off. And that way you can support us, your favorite Witches Movie Coven, your own Witches Movie Coven. You can be like me and buy everything on the website and own all of it and have your entire wardrobe be mysterycontrol.com because that's what I do. And you can get your own Bling Phillip. He's right here. So use code BLACK and you get 13% off Bling Phillip on Black Phillip Friday. That's so exciting. That's where I'm doing all of my Black Friday shopping, there and only there at mysterycontrol.com.
See, I could not have done a better commercial. We've got about 5 minutes left. Patti, since you are here in this world, what do you have coming up?
I have a couple of really fun things coming up in December. The first week in December, anyone who wants to go anywhere near Texas, I am doing Old Park Hotel with Natalie, my partner in Paraflix. We're doing, you could spend the night in this very haunted old West cowboy in the middle of nowhere, Old Park Hotel. It's really fabulous. You don't have to spend the night. There's options of staying the night or just doing the investigation. That's the first weekend of December. And the second weekend in December, I'm going to be in the kind of central northern California at another Spirit of Christmas haunted old town, mining town, because that's all we have old on the West Coast. You guys back east and you got all sorts of old things. We have cowboy towns, so that's what we're doing.
Awesome.
But both of them, find it, come on down.
And here's your
and
book,
my new
Patty.
book, you can order Dollcraft now, pre-order. It's not coming out until next year, but you can order it now, and that would make me very happy. Yay!
And
My
Patty,
beautiful editor, Heather, right there. I'm so excited.
Patty, you said you're going to be in Texas. I wanted to tell you, there's only two things that come from Texas: steers and all my exes live in Texas.
Oh,
You thought I was
your
going queer,
exes
didn't you?
live
I
in
know you. I
Texas.
know you did. I know. You
I did.
I did.
I thought that.
Apropos of nothing, but I'm in Texas,
Summers in
That's good.
Texas.
and we're all out of steers.
Well,
So
Thumper,
that's it.
since you're already on the screen, why don't you tell us how we can find you? What do you have coming up?
You can find me at thumperforge.com. That has all my bios and all my socials and all that will be at that website. My next big thing is Austin Witch Fest in May, which is a one-day event, but it's like the greatest one-day event ever.
Mhm.
This is their 5th anniversary. Matt Arwen is the headliner, and then a bunch of other great authors and presenters will be there. Coming up immediately, I will be at a little shop called Pixie's Intent on December 1st for their monthly psychic event. So I'll be offering readings there. And then fingers crossed, I've got a book coming out sometime in 2025.
Yay.
Also with my illustrious editor, Heather.
Heather Greene, since you're waving, why don't we? What do you have coming up, Heather Greene?
Absolutely nothing. The only thing I am other than my articles and the work I'm doing, I have nothing, no events. I just got back from Conjuration, which was great fun. And the only thing I can think about right now is going to see Wicked on Friday. So talk to me next week.
Very good. Ms. Tabitha?
Yes, I am Tabitha Meadows, medium and psychic, and you can find me on Facebook for private readings. I don't have anything coming up, but just a bunch of sleep into the new year.
That's a lovely plan.
Courtney Buckley, how can we find you? What do you have going on?
I am at the Themes on all the socials, including Twitch, where I play horror games, and you can play along with me. Nothing coming up except, like Heather, I will be crying and sobbing and scream singing Defying Gravity until my eyes can consume Wicked on the big screen. So that's it. Living, breathing, Wicked.
Dancing
From now
through
until
life.
next week.
We're
Yeah.
dancing through life.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Also, maybe planning a trip to Atlanta in December when the sing-along version comes out. So Heather and I can go cry and sing together at the same
And
time.
maybe Patty could join too. Wouldn't that
I'm
be?
going
Yeah.
to join too. I can't wait to see it. And right now it's playing, the live stage show is playing at the Pantages. So I want to go see the show again and the movie.
I love that. I'm
That's
jealous.
great.
And
Richard-Lael, what are you doing?
I'm sorry. Oh, me? Yeah, Richard-Lael. That's me. I am Richard-Lael. And that's, you can get the pillow there. I don't have a whole lot coming up right now. I'm here in New Orleans. The only thing coming up is pea soup. Anyway, your mother cooks socks in hell. I am found at thegentlemanpsychic.com. I am also on Scared and Alone. I am at University Magicus. I am so easy to be found. I am a little bit of everywhere, as Patty says, on bathroom walls all across. With that,
Yeah.
my lovely friends, my drear fiends, we have come to a very important part of the show. There is only one thing left for us to do. It is the one thing that binds us all together.
An exorcism.
An exorcism. Yes. Thank you.
The power of Christ compels you.
No,
The power of Christ compels you.
We are going to laugh
I'm
and
authorized.
cackle as we go out. And here we go to the count of 3. 3, 2, 1.